Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Azure and AI Show. Hey, Teresa.
Hello, hello. I'm checking out your look today. You want to explain your look?
I was out at the Microsoft MVP Summit and I spoke to Oz about his suggestion on hair dye to dye my beard. And his suggestion was don't wear a shirt you care about. These dyes that I purchased out in Redmond have a wand, and I decided to try right before, kind of risky, but try to put in the Microsoft logo colors in my beard for our meeting today. So
Is, is
that's why
that
I look a little different.
you're going to the extreme to hide the gray with a Microsoft logo?
Apparently, the Microsoft logo runs through and through my beard, but I'll have to decide if I'm going to go to church tomorrow this way. My dad would get a kick out of that. I used to go with a mohawk, and he always thought that was fun, and pointed out that we encourage Dan to do whatever he does with his hair while he has it, because my dad's bald, my son's been going bald, and I'm losing it on top as well. So it's a matter of time, I guess they felt.
Well, you're Microsoft branded for sure.
There you go.
So, folks, if you're watching the replay or joining us live, give us some comments about Dan's new look. Should he keep this all the time? So I thought this was pretty neat that he decided to do this right before we come on the show. So pretty cool.
And Teresa helped me with making sure the
Yeah.
colors are in the right spot. Put the yellow under the orange, right? Or no, under the blue under the orange.
Yeah. So I don't want you to get called out on like, Dan, it's wrong. You did all that and it's not in the right order.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
All right. So Frank is not with us today. So we're going to lead this up. And the first thing we're going to talk about, if you notice that Dan has the MVP wall up behind him when we was at the MVP Global Summit last week, that all those names list all the MVPs from around the world. And it was really neat to go up to the wall, and actually it was a banner, but it was the Wall of Fame is what I call it, and search for your name. And that was pretty cool. A lot of folks took pictures around that. And so, Dan, I'm glad that you put that up as your backdrop.
Yeah,
so,
I was thinking about how we could share that, and I can see if I can share the full.
I'll show you too. I got my T-shirt that has my MVP T-shirt when I was there, so that's what I'm doing today. Because I normally don't wear T-shirts, but I will wear this one.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's that banner.
I think this is the original banner they had up. It gets a little fuzzy.
Mm-hmm. But my name was way down on the bottom.
Right.
They had it in alphabetical order, so
yes.
There was no, and I think the ones in the gray, those are the regional directors. Is that what that is?
Yeah, I believe there were different colors, and I don't remember if this was the brand new one or the older one that I took a picture of. But I'll have to see if I can find a higher quality photo from maybe social media or something to share here.
Well, my name was down there low, and but the fact that it was there, yay!
Yes, exactly.
That's all that matters. Doesn't matter where, at least it's on there. So we're gonna just give you an update on, for expiring MVPs. Just to kind of talk about, this is one of the perks from being an MVP. You get to go to this session. You get to interact with people all over the world, people that you usually see on LinkedIn or virtual meetings. And you go up to them, and like for me, Oz, I call him the Excel King. And to finally go up and say hello and meet him was, something really special for me. The other person that I didn't get to see was Laura Rogers, who is SharePoint. She wasn't there, but I was looking forward to seeing her. And I got to meet Daryl Webster as well. So these are the people that I follow and that inspire me, and to get to meet them. Daryl Webster and I sat up at the bar for like 30, 40 minutes before I realized who he was. And Dan said, that's Daryl Webster. I said, Webster. I said, no, it's not. He said, yes, it is. And I was like, oh my gosh, dude, we would have had a different conversation. So it was really neat for that networking and meeting people. I met some guys from Portugal and the UK. I mean, just from everywhere all over the world. It was just really neat. Didn't realize that there was another MVP right out of the Pittsburgh area. That's where I'm from. And so she's a MVP for Excel, and we sat down and got to talk, and we live like only 20 minutes away from each other. So that was really neat. Been able to attend all the different sessions that they had. Like, you had a full day from like 9 to 5 for an hour sitting in these sessions. The content that they shared with us is NDA, meaning we can't share what was actually covered, but we learned a lot. We saw a lot of things that were coming. For me, because I'm apps and services, I attended like Copilot, PowerPoint, Outlook, Copilot for Word. And so those are types. They actually had one for their Q&A website. I joined that one as well. And they shared a lot of stuff that's in the pipelines, or things that they're thinking about that we can't share with you. And we was able to give them feedback about these products, what's coming or what's out there available today. And the one example that I'll share with you guys is like for PowerPoint, when you go and look and select the size of your slides, they still have the overhead as a size out there that was out there from day one back in the early 90s. And like overhead, my feedback was, would love to see they get updated to align with what Microsoft Designer has, which is you can easily choose that you want it portrait, landscape, or square. And they just reacted like, oh, great feedback, thanks. So those are the type of things that you get to do as an MVP, is attend these type of events that you have access to the product managers. So anything that was I didn't go. I heard that Clip Champ. Did I say that right?
Clip Champ, yeah.
Clip Champ. That lot of people left that session excited, and they came up to me and said, oh my God, T, you missed it. You should have been part of this session. And so a lot of great things are coming.
Yeah, definitely. T, this is the same dialog box that we shared with the PowerPoint team on the Mac computer. So the Mac version of PowerPoint has a few different features, but like you said, there's overhead, there's 35 millimeter
slides, like
paper.
I just happen to look over at you, Dan, and that beard of yours is cracking me up.
Yeah, I'll have to decide how long so they said this washes out, which I'll find out, I guess, later today, and I'll send you an update.
Doesn't
really immediately wash out. That was the other thing that I thought about with the MVP summit was from a recognizability perspective. I'm 6'4". People weren't recognizing the beard because it's much thicker than it normally is. And so a lot of people were doing a double take anyways. And if I had put in the Microsoft colors, although people could say, hey, did you meet Dan? He's the one with the Microsoft beard. That might have been an easy way to make sure people knew who I was. I wore a red cap for the first 2 or 3 days, this red hat, red cap. And one of my coworkers ended up taking a picture in a session to say, "Is this you?" And it was another guy wearing a red cap. Red caps were not, they were few and far between, but there were at least two of us wearing red caps at the MVP summit.
When we were there, we had great weather in Seattle. So, I mean, the first day it rained.
Yeah,
Not,
I was going to
but
say we
not
had
so
one day,
bad.
right?
Like it wasn't, raining hard, but it wasn't that bad. They been at Redmond, they have all these different buildings. It's huge campus, and they at least had transportation to take you from building to building. That was really nice. So you just go and park or catch an Uber to the buildings, and then you can transport from one to one. Myself and one lady, I'm trying to think of her name, Cindy Lewis. We
Yeah.
were trying to get to from, I think, building 7 to go to building 20, and we stood out there, and the transportation did never say they were going to the rector building, right? And because it was just directly across the street. I mean, like we was standing there waiting, and it was like walking distance. So that was funny to us, because we stood there for about 15 minutes.
Yeah, the reactor was interesting because I had never been there last year, and that's where the swag delivery or the swag and sticker swap was, as well as the t-shirt pickup Wednesday and Thursday. But to find out where it was and how convenient it was to some of the new buildings we were in this year was, a surprise. I didn't realize it was literally one building away across the street, and that was helpful, and the parking there was easier.
I thought I heard a lot of those buildings are fairly new, Dan. I'm like, that was my first time being in Seattle or being in Redmond. So, how new is that campus?
Yeah, so last year at the MVP Summit, which was my first one in person, it was announced close enough that a lot of the international folks didn't either have the funds, because it was pretty last minute, the announcement of the dates, or they may have had the dates not held because they didn't know when the MVP Summit was. So last year in, I want to say April, we had the summit, and the first 10 buildings, 1 through 10, had not been completed. So they were in the process of being constructed. And I believe it was the last Ignite, not this most recent Ignite, but the one before it, where we saw, the very beginnings of that construction over on campus. So those first 10 buildings are brand new from a standpoint of facilities, the cafeterias, even the walking areas. And then somebody was telling me the path that's going to go from one side of 520 to the other side of 520 is brand new, because that wasn't open just yet.
Yeah. You had said that the dates. I was flipping through my book to see if I wrote it down, because they did share the dates for next year.
Yeah, I want to say 25th through.
Yeah, I thought I was looking through my notes because it was sitting here at my desk, and I don't see it.
I think it was MVP Award on Twitter shared the dates. And so if we look at Twitter and go down to one of their posts, I think this was the build announcement. And then this was a brand new photo opportunity on the new campus.
I saw it, but I didn't get a picture.
I got a picture of it from the car. So
I saw your drive by.
Yeah, I did a drive by of it, but I didn't get the picture. And I don't know if there's like the perfect angle to get it looking like the logo. Next year, maybe everybody will take a picture in front of my beard.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. Yeah, they did. I'll make sure I find the dates and add it in the comments.
March 25th and 27th through 27th.
So for any MVPs or any aspiring MVPs that make it in this year, and good luck to you, that those are the dates. Save the dates. I will recommend, because those dates are probably a Tuesday through a Thursday. Make sure you get there the Monday, because they end up having some sessions that Monday and that Friday, because I made the mistake in flying in on that Monday and flying out that Friday morning, and I missed some sessions. So plan on, even though they are saying Tuesday through Thursday, make sure that you're already there on Monday and make sure you stick around on Friday.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I missed a couple sessions on both of those days. And so that was a learning for me there. The other thing too is, because I do remember someone mentioning, don't worry about getting a car. And I ended up getting a rental car anyway, and really didn't need to, because the Ubers were pretty cheap. Like, I remember catching one Uber for like $8 to get to my hotel, and it cost me only $60 from the airport. And this is all in US dollars, $60 from the airport to my hotel. And so, yes, and like I said, going from building to building, they had transportation there for us, and so I end up spending money on a car that I didn't need to. Yeah,
Good point. And I know I ended up with a minivan just because last year I had rented a Mini Cooper because they're fun for me to drive. They're not fun to ride with me. We ended up piling 3 other people to go to a restaurant called Purple. And somehow I figured out how to make a 45-minute drive out of a 8-mile away location. I was talking to somebody with Sharon Weaver and Jonathan Weaver, and Treb was asking which Purple we were going to. And I said, oh, we're going to the close one in Seattle. And he said, the one in Woodinville is closer. And I said, no, it was like a 45-minute drive last year. I don't remember where we were driving from. It might have been a event or an offsite or something, but we got in, we had supposed directions from GPS, and 45 minutes later, we made it to Purple, and it was amazing. So this year we decided to take a more direct route to Purple in Woodinville, and it was only 8 miles away and maybe a 20-mile or 20-minute drive. So we did that, I want to say, Friday night.
Yeah. It was like for me, first timer, it really exceeded all my expectations. I didn't know what to expect, but like I said, the networking, meeting the people, attending the sessions and listening to what's coming, and providing the feedback was just tremendous for me. And I know that they always ask, why you want to be an MVP, and that was it.
Yeah, the feedback opportunities we get on a regular basis virtually are great, and the fact that you're getting to meet these people in person,
right,
interacting with them, and then just the off chances. Like we ended up one evening wanting to go to a off-site event, and Donna, who is in charge of the Windows Insiders group, needed a ride to. We were going to her bar, and during the ride, Teresa and I were in the car with her. I said, "Your bar, as in the bar you hang out at, or your bar as in you own the bar?" And it was the latter. She owned the bar we went to.
Yeah.
But those kind of like chance encounters and opportunities. Hey, I have a vehicle. Let's all, get a ride. And then Donna was a much better navigator than I usually am, with getting to not only her bar side hustle in Kirkland, but then also telling me where to park for free.
Right. Right.
Kudos to Donna.
And the food was very good.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the food was good.
Amazing. And then I met somebody named James, and I just thought, oh, James works at Side Hustle. No. James is James Whitaker, who is,
Mm.
from a public speaking perspective, one of the best presenters I've ever seen at Microsoft.
Oh, wow.
And has written a book, and was not just somebody working at Side Hustle. I believe he's a co-owner along with Donna. So, meeting people like that.
Right.
And then Nicole, the head of Microsoft Teams, ended up at a table right behind me and said to a couple people she was meeting there, she didn't come for the MVP event. She said, I think there's a number of MVPs here. So I turned around, introduced myself, and said, yeah, there's a lot of MVPs.
A lot of us, yeah.
But then realized she wasn't there for our event. She was there just personally with friends. Yeah. So I kept the gushing over meeting her at a minimum. And I was thinking about the picture opportunity, but I was like,
yeah,
she's there personally. It's not time to bother her and ask for like a photo. And then if I ask, what are the chances that other people are going to recognize her and want a photo as well?
Yeah, so, I saw her too, and I was thinking the same thing, right? You always see her, being a speaker and presenting, for Ignite and everything. That I remember thinking the same thing. It was like, ooh, I've seen her before, And another person I didn't get a picture with that I'm so shocked that I didn't do it is Lori Pottermeyer. And she was just so busy, and it was just, kind of inappropriate. Said, can you just take them? Which she would have.
Oh, yeah.
But, when you have your business hat on and you're greeting so many people, because I believe there was about 1,000 MVPs there out of 3,000 global MVPs. I mean, Daryl Webster, he's from New Zealand. I saw people from Ireland. There was a group of guys from Portugal, the UK. So people were all over the world that was there.
Spain, on the first day, they all had red jackets on. So I met a young man named Alex. That's one of the student ambassadors. And I think he said that there were 5 to 10 student ambassadors that were chosen based on being available to come to the conference, signing the NDA. There were a bunch of things they had to do, almost like an MVP would do.
Right.
But a select number of student ambassadors, and I think this might have been the first year they've done that, were invited to attend. So Alex had this really cool red jacket on, and I said, was this a Spain, event, or where did the jackets come from? And he said that all the folks from Spain got these red jackets to wear as they came to the MVP conference. And then Avanade, I think, was the other one that I saw, kind of like swag that was, they all had their orange either jumpers or polos or shirts from Avanade. I don't know if you saw any other kind of company logos or clothing or.
No, I didn't. I just know leaving out of there, like last week, this past week, I was just really busy, but I have a whole list of follow-ups to do, right? Like, meeting people and connecting. Steve Corey is a guy that I follow as well. He has a YouTube channel, and we got to talking about different things. And so he's like on my follow-up list for this week, some things that we want to talk about. So like I said, I walked out of there with a lot of follow-ups. I put up on my screen, we were talking about all the different sessions. They were, it was 151 sessions around AI, 68 sessions around Copilot, 31 on Teams, SharePoint and Viva, there was 19, and lab tours, 40. So I know somebody had sent an email out sharing that information. So it was, like all day from the time you get up, and then, from to 5 o'clock, you're back-to-back sessions, and then we would get together afterwards. So yeah, if you have the dates now, make sure that budget for it.
Yes, I would strongly encourage everybody to.
There was a lot of folks who just became an MVP this January.
Yeah.
You know, was enrolled in January that was there in March. So, you know, and this gentleman, again, he was from the Excel group. He came from the UK. And so, but I met a lot of people who was just enrolled as an MVP in January. And again, they did not miss it.
Yeah. And I guess the other tip or trick, the MCT community, the Microsoft Certified Trainer community, typically does their events right before the MVP.
And before.
And the reason for that is many MCTs, certified trainers, may also have been awarded the MVP, the Microsoft Most Valuable Professional Award. And the difference is an award versus an achievement. The MVP is an award. MCT is a set of do this, that, and the other, and you can enter that community.
Yeah.
But I know a couple people were in the boat I was when I was an MCT, but not an MVP.
Right.
We were debating about, like, should I stay a couple days later or, try to figure out something that's not under NDA that I can either participate in or catch up with somebody or friends that I know that might be there for that, but not the MCT event, either because they're not MCTs or they don't have that, extended period of time to spend at Microsoft. I would encourage folks that are thinking about the MVP and want to make some connections and want to, think of different ways to, get involved with this community, to think about reaching out to Teresa, myself, others, and get a sense for what types of events could you maybe consider with MVPs. I know a number of MVPs did basically like informal invites to places like Donna's Side Hustle bar. And there were, I want to say, at least 4 or 5 that I heard of. Several that I know I didn't hear about, where groups were getting together formally, informally. Women in teams got together.
Right.
That was Friday morning.
Yeah, tell me about. Did you get any pictures from the treehouse? I totally forgot about the treehouse because I'm pretty sure if I would have remembered, I would have went there. Just even for a photo op, right?
Yeah.
But tell me about the tree house.
Yeah, so the tree houses, I don't know if there's so the Inclusive Lab, Teresa, is a tour that I would strongly encourage you to think about next year. And then the tree houses, I was in your boat. I had heard about the tree houses a long time ago.
I think that Lori at one of the women in teams meeting kind of showed us. I think she had a video or something, told us about it, but I totally forgot about it because it's like a conference room up there. People can actually work there.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing stairs, so I don't know if the stairs were.
Can you make that bigger?
Yeah, let me see if I can make this bigger.
Yeah.
This was either a different treehouse or, the treehouse at one point. But the treehouse that I went to was more like this, and it was between building 31 and 32. So I parked, found my way into building, I want to say 31, asked in the cafeteria, where are the tree houses? And they said, oh, they're outside. And I thought, well,
of course,
I hope.
Where?
Outside, but where outside? And so they pointed me to what was essentially like a ramp system. So there's no stairs to get to the treehouse I went to. There is a series of ramps that you take, and then there's an entryway, which I don't know if we have a picture here of the entryway. Here it is. And you had like what looked like a door that was kind of shorter, but there wasn't a top to the door. So you opened kind of like a gate, I guess is a better way to describe it. And then you entered the treehouse. I want to say there was a limit of either 25 or 35 people, a capacity perspective. And then the treehouse itself had a porch.
So you definitely can't just be out there and just get into the treehouse. You have to come get into the treehouse through the building and get there.
No, so it was outdoors. So you
I know it was outdoors, but You
but
had to go
it
through
was
the building to get to it?
no, you could walk around the building to the back,
Oh, okay. Okay.
and the path to the tree houses was public, as public as campus is. That's the other thing I never really asked. I think we had a conversation about that. I don't think there's anything that precludes you from being on the Microsoft campus. However, anywhere we entered, I don't have it handy right now, but we had a badge that said MVP on the lanyard, and then had our identification on the badge, and that was checked every building that we went in, and then prior to entering sessions. So there definitely was a lot of security around the MVP portion of it. The Treehouse, for instance, was an event that was for women in teams on Friday morning, I want to say. I don't believe anybody that stopped by was just from the community, but there were a couple people I noticed that weren't necessarily MVPs, because this wasn't an MVP event. So they were either there with maybe a significant other, or local to Seattle, and just decided to come for the event.
I didn't see a lot of pictures, on the social media platforms of people taking pictures there. So I don't know how many remember that it was there. I didn't see a whole lot.
That's true. And I don't know if it's just that it's it's more of a outdoor space, so people don't necessarily think to take a bunch of pictures. I took a couple pictures from the outside, but I figured, the interior shots here were pretty close to what I could have taken, other than there were some donuts out. So yes, I wanted to show the delicious donuts that Lori brought, Lori Potmeyer, and some other people. Here's another shot of the door. So the door is probably 5 feet tall, and I thought, oh man, I'm gonna have to duck. But what I didn't realize was this is an open frame.
Oh, okay.
So this was probably 7 feet tall, and you just walk through it. But you can see that there's a badge access. I don't recall if they had it open because Lori had already reserved the space for Friday morning, or if during the day some of the buildings are open for guests to enter. So that would be the other thing. If you saw a badge reader and it wasn't green, you had to have a Microsoft escort with you. But again, that week is a pretty easy week to assume that people from Microsoft may be available, because MVPs don't have access to the badge readers. We just have credentials that show we should be there, but we still have to have either a Microsoft person taking us around, or we have to go to the places where events were already set up for MVPs to attend.
Go to my I believe I posted on Twitter. Go to my Twitter page. On that Wednesday, I think it was on that Wednesday, we at lunchtime, Microsoft Teams had a lunch event. I think I posted on there. Keep going. There it is. There was a fire alarm that went off. And so we all had to leave the building. I think I counted like 4 fire trucks, but they don't know what happened. So it wasn't anything serious. But
I did hear the backstory on that.
This is what I found interesting, is that the fire alarm went off and people left the building and stood by the building. Safety, people. If that building would have blew up, you're standing right there. I went across the street.
I did see that in your video. You're on the camera. I'm across the street, not standing right next to it.
Yeah, so we wasn't out there long. It probably like 5 minutes. And what I thought was interesting is everybody went out quickly, safely. It was just really amazing how fast people got out of there quickly and safely. But and like I said, we were able to go back into the building. I never heard why. Only thing that I thought of is, did somebody accidentally hit the fire alarm or something like that? But so I remember saying, I'm going to capture this as the global, the MVP Global Summit is fire.
So I hadn't thought of it until I was there.
Well,
But
somebody posted a comment saying too much brain power there. Set the alarm.
yes. So Brandy Brown, who along with her husband Michael Brown, both have jobs in and around Microsoft. So Brandy works for CBRE. Just posted this yesterday that she's now the workplace experience coordinator at Microsoft. She works in Building 33. So somebody else that was there had told me that it was basically some steam coming off of a meal, that was being prepped for lunchtime, and just was, I guess, too close to a sensor and set off a sensor.
Yeah.
But Brandy, somebody walked by me. I met Brandy at Juneteenth conference in Chicago last year. And we've been on several calls planning for this year's Juneteenth event. And somebody walked by that just sounded like Brandy. And I haven't seen her in, I don't know, 9 months. And then I have this big beard and it wasn't Microsoft colored. So she looked at me and I look at her and I said, Brandy? And it turns out it was Brandy Brown. So we chatted, and there were a lot of those just, kind of happenstance.
Yeah.
You're in the same place as somebody that you've never met in person or you haven't seen in a long time. And it was this opportunity to just, either grab something to eat with them or visit or, see what our weeks looked like, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had opportunity to meet her and Michael Brown.
Yeah. Well, they're talking about the Juneteenth conference in Chicago. Unfortunately, I will be gone the date that they're talking about. I believe they're moving it to the actual Juneteenth date and hosting that in Chicago again this year. But there's calls between some of the folks that are volunteering or coordinating or looking at different things. I don't think the call for speakers has opened yet, but there'll be a call for speakers.
Keep me posted. So we talked about the environment. We talked about a lot of the sessions. Let's talk about food. So we talked about the side hustle. The side hustle was really nice, and they had great drinks as well.
Yes.
One of the things that they had non-alcohol drinks there, which I thought was nice. And then day one, Dan and I and two other young ladies, we went to the Space Needle. And, as you can see, it's way up in the sky and it has a glass floor and, it rotates so you can see the city. And the food was delicious. My first reaction was a lot of appetizer food, but I did leave out of there full.
Yeah.
So I thought that I was like, I'm seeing all these little things, delicates, and but I left out of their full was really, really nice. Just the fact being able to see see Seattle from the sky was really nice. Yeah, that's a good one showing the floor. Is that the floor? And it was a little nerve-wracking still. I did not like standing. If I stood on it, I didn't want to look down.
Yes. Yeah.
So that was a really nice restaurant. Pretty much Microsoft fed us, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and so but there was a couple days that we went out, and then we went to Matthews. Oh my! It's at one of their local malls. Yeah, that's the side hustle.
Yeah, that's side hustle. Yeah, Matthews was
at this like a plaza or a mall. And at first I was thinking, because I really by this time, this was Thursday night, that I really wanted a lot of food. And I could tell you, when I go back, I will go to this restaurant again.
Yes, that was delicious.
Yeah.
So this was Matthew's menu. And Trying to recall. I want to say I did seafood.
I did seafood.
Yeah.
I did the calamari. The salmon was just out of this world.
Maybe this will remind me what I had. You did the salmon, right?
I did the salmon.
And then what did I do? I did the ahi salad.
Oh, and that seafood chowder was delicious.
Yes, yes, thank you.
That was
we both
really
did
delicious.
Seafood chowder, and then the flash fried calamari too.
Yeah. And but I will definitely go back to this restaurant.
Yes,
for sure.
I would agree. That was an amazing restaurant. We did.
We almost changed. Well,
food.
I almost changed our minds. Like I was like, "Well, are you sure you want to go here? You want to go somewhere else?" But that was the best choice for sure.
Yeah, I had found done seafood near me, and had found like a McDonald's of the seafood. Long John Silver's, if you're familiar with that.
Long John Silver's was better than that place.
But the place we found was not a recommendation from a fine dining or a great experience. Matt's was amazing.
Yeah.
And we both stuck with seafood, even though it's a what's it called? A rotisserie and oyster lounge. So I don't think either of us did the oysters, but
no.
Sounds like they're known for those as well.
Yeah, it was definitely, like I said, when I go back, it will be on my list to go to before over Space Needle.
Yeah,
I would go there before Space Needle.
I would agree. We ended up at Thai Ginger. I've been there before. I love Thai food. We also ended up where
go back to that one again. I will have to experiment with that. I don't know if I've actually been to a Thai restaurant.
Yeah, so think noodle dishes.
I'm hungry now.
Yes, exactly. I'm getting myself hungry. We have a Thai place in DeKalb that I may have to think about for tonight. The rice, they had my son turned me onto this. They have a sticky rice and mango dessert at many places. And I want to say Thai Ginger had it. And then the other place that was recommended was Bai Tong in Redmond. And that was a place I ended up in visiting with Holly Lehman, who was at Microsoft. And I met her for the first time last year at the MVP Summit. And I invited Jay and somebody I worked with at Brainstorm. So Jay Taylor runs a community called Mentor Mesh, former Microsoft, former Twitter, former Peloton. He's worked at many of the largest tech companies in Seattle. Okay. And Jay and I had never met. So last year I invited him to Bai Tong along with Holly and my friend Anastasia. And Anastasia now works for, I want to say, Core BTS, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, she's at Core BTS. But we both worked at Brainstorm for about a year together. And just these kind of connections, they're not MVPs, they're not even MCTs necessarily, but they had a connection to the community. So it's just fun to like catch up with these kind of people that are local.
Yeah. It was a great experience. Yes. It was really a great experience. It, like I keep saying, it exceeded my expectation. I didn't know what to expect, and it really exceeded my expectation. It was a great event.
Yeah, I would say that between.
So, Dan, have you been to Ignite, right?
Yes, I've been to every Ignite in person.
So, is the environment, the setup kind of the same, like going to like an MVP summit compared to Ignite? Like, what's the difference?
So Ignite, the biggest difference from my perspective is you're not going to have as many NDA type sessions. It's going to be things they're announcing. But Ignite is one of the big moments from Microsoft making announcements. So there may be, from a keynote perspective, things that you weren't privy to. Like last year's Ignite was the AI chips that Microsoft announced. And at Ignite, there were several.
A lot of things around Copilot.
Yes, and Copilot.
I want to mention too, with the MVP Summit, you know, for the folks who was not there in person, also created their agenda and attended virtually and was able to ask questions, because our buddy Ami Diamond was asking questions, you know, during the session. So, you know, if you can't make it, you know, they still have the opportunity to watch. And then, like for me, there was a lot of double booking on some of these sessions. Make sure that you put it on your watch list so you can watch it later, because I don't think you will have access to those sessions if you did not pre-schedule for it, like being able to watch the replay. So, but because there's quite a few that I went back to watch.
Yeah, I believe as an MVP, we do get, there's a certain amount of time that we get access to all the sessions. So I don't think you had to be registered for them, but I'll have to check. There were some.
I thought I saw a question about it. Somebody wanted wanted access to a replay, and I don't think they had access because they didn't pre-register. I'll double check that too and put it in the comments. But I thought I remember seeing that question. Somebody asking.
Yeah, I think Peter Rising posted about thanking Microsoft for the fact that he was able to attend virtually. There's one of Ami's posts, and I believe Peter posted something about there's a mental health and well-being post, Teresa, for what we were talking about. Here it is. So not being able to attend in person because his son has autism and Peter is the primary caregiver. But, you know, thanking Microsoft for this kind of opportunity where Peter can still be involved and, you know, misses out on some of the in-person, but at the same time, there's that balance of, you know, what you need to do for your family or for, you know, for work, which may, you know, preclude you traveling or being available that entire week kind of thing.
But think about, I'm not sure where Peter is from, but think about it in this sense too. You know, some people, I mean, I can't imagine, I know what it costs me, and I'm here in the US to get from the East Coast to the West Coast. I couldn't imagine what it costs for them coming from England. Because there was a lot of folks from the UK. So, you know, you have to, you know, budget wise may prevent you from being able to attend as well. Because I don't know if this was reversed and this was in the UK, I would have been virtual.
Yeah, I'm waiting for my next visit over to the UK. Robert Smith, or Smith without the H at the end. The Cure is my favorite band ever. So I was pleased to find out I have a friend that almost sounds like Robert Smith's name. But we neglected to take a picture this year, and he's from, I believe, the Netherlands originally. So I believe this is Netherlands, if I'm not mistaken. But we had met in England at training at Insight. So if we look this up, Netherlands, yeah. So this is his home.
I think I met somebody too from the Netherlands as well when I was there.
There were a lot of Netherlands folks. One of the other people from Insight that I met is now an MVP and was at the event. And I ran into Arindam, who's in Switzerland. So I have a place to stay when I go to Switzerland. I have a place to stay next time I'm back in Arindam. Let's see if I can spell this.
Who is that? I thought I heard that Logitech was on site too that week.
I am having a real hard time spelling his name. There we go. Marcel and Arindam were there from, I think they're both from Switzerland. But Alan Kanan was there. I didn't meet him in person. I did meet, who was the other person? Carl Cook from Ireland. I met in person this year. So there were just so many people that either told me they wanted to meet, or we had planned something. Drizzle from the Philippines originally, and I had an opportunity to meet in person. She's in Stockholm now, Sweden. So just, people from around the world that you get a chance to just chat with. And I saw her last year, so I sent her a message to say, I saw you at the MVP summit, but I didn't get a chance to say hi. And she said, well, next time, be sure to say hi. But it was one of those, like, you see people from across like a entire conference center, and you realize, hey, I'm going to shout and bother everybody, or I'm probably not going to talk to that person. But
I did the same thing. I'm looking up his name, Jeremy St. Clair. He's an MVP out of Wheeling, West Virginia. And I did the same thing to him, because Wheeling is probably less than an hour from here.
Cool.
And so I said, hey, I'm here, hope to meet up with you. And he was actually at the Side Hustle restaurant. So we got to meet. And so it was a lot of that going around, like, hey, like to meet you.
Yeah. Yeah, I reached out to a couple people just like Peter to see if they were going to be there in person. Jeremy was somebody that I met because thanks to you. And, there were just so many really cool people to have a chat with or to meet with based on that.
I surprised Oz, and because when I first started my YouTube channel, I followed him a lot. One, he did a session on Camtasia through TechSmith, and I saw one of his videos through TechSmith. And so I was sharing with him, like, my first 2 years, I followed him because my husband used to tell me, you're just too corporate in your videos, show your personality. And, I was like, hey, I'm in the corporate world all my life. What do you expect? Right. And what I like about him is he's just so comfortable in front of the camera. The lights are dim. He got his cigar and he's teaching you Excel. And, so I watched him a lot, and I think I surprised him. He's like, wow, and I was like, yeah, you never know who's watching you. Right.
Yes.
And I said, for my first 2 years, I watched you to kind of develop my own style of, producing videos, because my originally for me, I was not planning to be a YouTuber. I did not want any part of it. And I saw the opportunities on how much I can help people, learn the Microsoft 365 apps and services, so that changed in my third year. But he was the guy that I watched a lot.
I know this video from last year was kind of set the bar for me.
Yeah.
And just his personality is.
Yeah. Well, I believe they got that from Kate.
Yeah. Kat Norton was.
Kat.
I think was part of it. This video from last year was.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Creative.
DBA.
Yeah. They did something similar this year as well.
Yeah.
And which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah, that Excel group has a lot of fun. Dan, we got to do something for our group, but they have a lot of fun. Is this the one from this year?
I'm an Excel nerd. Of course I'm judging your spreadsheet.
I'm an Excel nerd. Of course I dream in grids.
I'm an Excel nerd, so of course it's the only Office app I use.
I'm an Excel nerd. Of course I never use Google
Is
Sheets.
the sound working?
I'm an Excel nerd,
Of course, I hate auto save.
I'm an Excel nerd, and of course, I don't
I
work.
met him too.
I'm an Excel nerd. Of course, I automate.
That's an
everything with
awesome
VBA.
sweater.
I'm an Excel nerd. Of course, I assume everything is a date.
I'm an
And that's
Wait. I want you to see the girl from Pittsburgh. She shows her mouse.
left anti-join.
I'm an Excel nerd. Of course, Excel is my PowerPoint.
I'm an Excel nerd. Of course, I don't know the mouse.
she's the one from Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah. She when you look at the comments, this guy here was funny. When we were meeting and I shared with him, I said, yeah, Oz to me is the king of Excel. He said, so what am I? And am I the prince of Excel? I said, okay, you got it. You're the prince of Excel.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's
Make
easy for me
everything with
to
VBA.
Yeah.
speed
I'm an
back
Excel
through
nerd.
it.
Of course,
I met him in
assume
a
everything
PowerPoint
is a date.
presentation last year.
I'm
We
an
talked
Excel
about
MVP.
Canva.
Of course, I expect you to know what is a left anti-join.
I'm an Excel nerd. Of course, Excel is
So
my
yeah, that group has a lot of fun. And like I said, prior to me being an MVP, seeing these videos. And even when they get together at Ignite, they always post something like that.
Yeah. So
There
Emma,
she is, Emma.
Kat, I
Yeah.
think were the
Excel dictionary.
behind. Yeah. Because I assumed it was Oz that came up with the idea since he posted it, but he said that Kat and Emma were the real folks kicking around the ideas. So.
I know I might get in trouble for this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. The young people. The young people think about that stuff. Meaning, for social media, right?
Right. Or trends, or I would agree.
Yeah, I'm on TikTok, and I think that again, I'm too corporate for TikTok.
I've been trying to have some fun with it, but my ideas come in spurts, and then there aren't enough hours in the day. I guess the beard coloring might be my new signature.
Oh, you might want to do something today before you wash it out.
Why not? Like
tag me on it so I can see how well you do.
There you go. Yeah, I'll have to come up with something fun to do and talk about or share on TikTok today.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we're coming up on an hour. This show, we just wanted to kind of talk about our experience at the MVP Summit 2024. It was everything. And we did a lot of name dropping today. Just, I shouldn't say we were name dropping, but we were just talking about the people who we met. And, in my case, some of the folks that I had admired and watched through my journey. You see these people on LinkedIn or other social media platforms and get to really meet them in person is just awesome.
Yeah. And I know next week we're talking about Azure and AI Show on Saturdays. Lance Lingerfeld has started an office hours event every Friday, 9 a.m. So if you connect with Lance on LinkedIn, there is a link to his office hours event, and then you sign up for that and you get a link to the Teams meeting. And then he posts that publicly after the fact. I was his guest this Friday. He's doing that every Friday. And then every month, the first Thursday of the month, we do Journey to the Cloud. And I believe, Teresa, you said this month will be your birthday, right?
Yes, it's Aries season.
Yes. So my brother is an Aries. He's born April 5th.
Oh, so mine is the 4th.
Yeah.
His the 5th.
My brother is the 5th, and then my wife is the 13th. So
okay,
in my family.
My second grandson, his is the 15th or the 16th, because they didn't want they said we don't want him born on tax day, the 15th. So they did the 16th. Hey, Ami, how you doing?
He says hello. It looks like he's joining us from over on YouTube. YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And YouTube, I think with StreamYard, we can make comments back from StreamYard. There's certain platforms like LinkedIn where we see the comments live, but we can't reply to the comments live from StreamYard. It's like a read-only connection, but I believe YouTube is both ways.
If you can hear us, Ami, we were talking about you earlier. We did a whole session on the MVP Global Summit, and I was sharing how people were able to ask questions even if they were virtual, because I know in several sessions that you did. And so we were talking about you today.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem for mentioning you. And the invites for this typically are something that we send to like the LinkedIn group that we have from a messaging perspective. So we don't necessarily make one every week, Ami, but if you're ever interested in being a guest, just let us know, and we can start with, kind of the folks that have agreed to come on or to present something or, chat about something. So, and if the time works differently for you, I know we've moved around other meetings, like Journey to the Cloud is the same time. It's just on the first Thursday every month at this point. But if that time doesn't work for you, I know it doesn't work for some other people in our community. We may be talking about some exceptions for folks like Arindam in Switzerland anyways. So we could look at a time that might be more convenient for you than, for folks over in the UK and Ireland that typically schedule these. So Frank will likely be back next week. He had asked me if I could host this week because he is traveling. And Frank Falvey is typically the Azure and AI host, as well as the person that you contact to be on the show. And then Journey to the Cloud, Teresa, I know you've been acting as kind of the MC here lately for that event, which is the first Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern. And I'm sure we'll figure out our plans for your birthday.
Yeah.
And
this is going to be special because normally I don't work on my birthday.
well, and if you choose to record something ahead of time or move the time when it's more convenient for you, just
no, I know I'm planning to be there, but yeah, normally my kids tease me because I take the whole month of April, like the whole month. I was like, oh, it's my birthday. And they was like, Mom, your birthday was like 3 weeks ago. So it's still April.
So Eva's being on the 13th when we moved from birthday days to birthday weekends to birthday weeks. And we did the same thing. We just celebrate the birth months. Yeah. Mine's on January 27th. So she always teases me that I get all the lead up, to my actual birthday. And then there's very little after, there's like 4 days later and we're in February. But she said she feels like she misses out because on the 13th, it's her actual birthday. And then, for half a month, she has to remind us it's still her birthday month. Yeah. No, but it's after her birthday. So I'm on the 4th.
If you remember at dinner when we was at the Space Needle, I was already celebrating like, a month before. I was already starting to celebrate.
Yeah, so we should probably shout out our two guests that Stacey Warren and Lisa were the two
that went to dinner.
MCTs that joined us. They're not MVPs today, but there's a nomination process for the MVP. So both Lisa from New York, upstate New York, and Stacey joined us for dinner at the Space Needle.
Yeah. Her birthday's at the end of March.
Yes.
So we were toasting and having a good time.
Yeah, it was super, super fun.
Yeah.
And Stacy's in Utah. So if you ever get to Utah, Stacy and Christian Buckley, and I'm sure there's other people I know from Utah from Brainstorm days. And, so
Christian Buckley is having an event, I believe my memory is correct, April the 19th. And it's out about 20 miles outside of
he's in Lehigh.
Yeah, I want to say, is it Sandy, Utah?
I think Sandy is is a town. Lehigh is the one I'm familiar with. I think Sandy might be right next to it or something.
Yeah.
Let's see if he's got any events.
Yeah, because I think I just saw the post.
Live stream. These are all the online ones. It might just be a post.
I just happened to see it yesterday.
This one, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Ooh. Yeah, Collab Days, Utah.
My memory was right. April the 9th.
Yes. Good memory.
Yeah. Because I keep wondering, here's a great opportunity. I keep missing these. Like I would have loved to been a speaker here, right? And I keep missing the call out speaker days, and then opens up. Dan, go to community days. Because I don't know if that one's on Sessionize or not, because I didn't see it on Sessionize, and I forget.
People are on Sessionize. I don't know if that one is.
Yeah, I don't think that one was, because I'm just trying to figure out how I keep missing them.
I know in Sessionize, the nice thing I like about Sessionize is there's a way to, if you're a speaker, there's a way to discover events. So
Yeah.
This is how I found Kansas City. This is how I found Philly, DC group. There's a Houston group that I submitted a session to, Manchester. So typically this page I know is one place that you can go to try to discover the call for speakers when they're open or ongoing, for I think Frank
user groups.
Yeah, Frank now has it for the Azure and AI Show, but I started using Sessionize. And if your event is free to the public to attend, you get a free listing on Sessionize, but you have to kind of fill out a request to make the event free. And then you can basically manage your speakers through this platform. But Community Days, good call out, is the other place where you can take community events and make sure they're advertised and make sure people are aware of, where the event is, when you're looking for speakers, and to fill out that.
If it's virtual or in person.
Yeah. And I know this was one thing that Jonathan and Sharon Weaver were talking about, because the Community Days platform is where they announced the Microsoft 365 days at sea. But the issue was it's a cruise, and you can't just show up to a cruise. You can't decide I'm going 2 days before, or you can, but it's super, super expensive. So I know they have, Jonathan and Sharon have been sharing the express interest.
Yeah, I saw that.
Instead of, you finding out when it's kind of too late or really, really expensive, they have put together a form so that you are on the list of people that will be aware that Smarter Consulting, and I'm not sure if they're going to do sponsorship this year. Last year or this year, it was in February, just this last February. I still need to listen to this podcast that Sharon was on, but they put together a form that you can fill out to express your interest.
Yeah, I filled it out. I saw it. I think it just came out. Oh, well, it says 4 days ago, but I think I just saw it yesterday.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like a lot of these things, you need to give like a week or two because of the algorithm and how it posts things to you. I'll see things a lot of times, like for this weekly show, a lot of times I'll see the posts, or people will say, oh, I saw the post after you went live. Well, the benefit is this is available whenever you get around to it. So you don't have to be here live other than to comment like Ami. But we are more than happy to have people watch later and make comments or, follow up with us anytime that it's convenient for you. The Microsoft 365 Community Days at Sea, highly, highly recommend. Think about like what you could accomplish at the MVP Summit, but not having like, thousands of people that you're trying to follow up with. This was 40 people.
Nice.
Dinner with every night, and our meals were coordinated. We could coordinate other things like, hey, I want to go to see the show, or I want to go to, the performance. They did this really fun game show. That was a little irreverent, but we won. Jonathan and Corinne made sure we won the. I don't even remember what they called their game show, but it was a lot of fun, a lot of unexpected things. I'll be much more prepared next time.
Yeah.
It was this first time about the kinds of things they may ask, and it was one of the best weeks I've had from a community perspective.
Wow.
So strongly.
I saw it yesterday, and like I said, this past week I was so busy, so I was just coming up for air yesterday to get caught up on some things, and I got a lot of things to follow up on next week. But so today's show, we just really talked a lot about conferences, right? We talked about what to expect from the MVP Global Summit event. If you didn't make it for MVPs, if you didn't make it, try to get this on your list for next year. The dates were March 25th through the 27th for 2025. So keep that in mind so you can plan for it and budget for it. And we talked about conferences you can find, conferences if you want to be a speaker on Sessionize, as well as community days. Like I said, there are some events that might be on one and not on the other site, so make sure you check out both. Sure. So, Dan, this was good. This was really fun, and your beard. I'm still laughing at your beard. Great.
Yeah, my family's gonna have some choice words for me.
Yeah.
My dad probably isn't on LinkedIn, so he's probably going to see this for the first time on Sunday.
Yeah.
If it doesn't last till Sunday, I'll draw it back in for Sunday.
Yeah. Your kids probably saying, yeah, that's not my dad.
They're old enough. They
don't get embarrassed anymore. My kids.
Yeah, I think their friends are in a totally different space than I am. I don't think they troll me on LinkedIn or anything. And then on Twitter, my daughter used to have me hide my Instagram because I guess her friends found me humorous or found like the access to things we had posted, like her first birthday, eating the cake. We had both of our kids' videotapes converted to YouTube videos. So she made me hide my Instagram for a while just because of the things I had posted family related.
Yeah.
I think it was when Dr. Dre was in the Super Bowl, I said, I'm going to make Still Dre a public Instagram. Still Dre won because I didn't get Still Dre. It's somebody overseas that grabbed that handle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, check us out again next week, Saturdays. On Saturdays, the Azure and AI Show. This is Frank Falvey's show. And he has guests. If you're interested in coming in and sharing your expertise, here's the platform to do so. And have a great weekend.
Take care, everybody. Do some exit audio.